Rachel, and we're inside with my colleague Jill, who is a nurse and is also a woman who's kind of into healthcare, into healthy living. She's a Pilates teacher. She's got lots and lots of interests in looking after people. So if we could give a little pat of applause for my colleague Jill, that would be marvellous.
So raise your hand if you're interested in being healthy and happy. And raise your hand again if you're interested in being healthy and happy, you'd like to have more confidence, and you'd like to really understand how you can continue to be healthy and happy into your future. Raise your hand again. And in fact, say I. And give me a little wave. Okay, brilliant. So that means I'm in the right room, which is really good. Okay, so you may be here today because you're looking for some answers to some weight issues that you may have on the basis that it's advertised as a weight loss talk. So maybe you're the person that has tried to lose weight before, tried all sorts of diets, and maybe you've lost weight in the past, but perhaps you've put that weight back on again. Or perhaps you're not here because you need to lose weight, but you're interested in actually becoming more healthy. Or maybe you're aware that as we get older, particularly as ladies, we tend to put on weight, and this might actually kick off some potential diseases. Things like diabetes and those lifestyle diseases. Or maybe actually you're just here because you're looking for more energy, or to sleep better, or just to have a happier life. Or maybe you're here for somebody else. Maybe it's not you you're here for. You're looking for some answers to somebody else's problem. So imagine if actually, after the end of this evening, you've got some tools in your armoury where you're going to begin a journey where you're waking up every day with loads of energy. You're jumping out of bed. You're being able to get through the rest of the day, knowing exactly that you've got the energy to be able to do that. You're in complete control now of your weight, if that is an issue for you, and you're even getting the clothes out of the back of the wardrobe that you've hidden away, yes ladies, that you think you're going to wear one day, but you're wearing all of those clothes, and not only that, but you're completely confident that you've lost the weight that you need to lose, and that you're never ever going to be in a situation to ever have to diet again. Now, does that sound like a better option for you? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, good. Okay, you didn't seem sure. Okay, so we're here this evening to talk about one thing that actually you probably don't think you're here to talk about. You probably are expecting me to talk about dieting, aren't you? But actually, we're not going to talk about that at all. We're here this evening to talk about nutritional rebalancing. So would you agree with me that if you're here now, in this place here, and you want to get to a place where you're feeling much more confident and sexy and womanly, and you're in control of your health and your wealth, and your health and your lifestyle, is that you might need a vehicle to get you to that place. Would you agree with me? And that you also might need somebody that has been in this position, or someone that's been in a similar position to you, that's experienced that journey to get to this very much healthier lifestyle. Would you agree with me that if you could find somebody like that to help you and pull you along, that might be a good idea? Yes or no? Yes. Yeah, okay. So for example, anybody hire a plumber, or you know, when your plumbing goes wrong, or you need to fix your car, or maybe you need to make a will. Does anybody do those things themselves, or do you actually pick up the yellow pages or Google and find somebody to do it for you? You find somebody, I find somebody, an expert to do that for me. Yeah? So why would we think that actually if we need to do something in terms of getting ourselves into a really healthy state, that we could do that on our own? Does it make sense to you that we can actually find somebody who's an expert that can help you to do it? Yeah, does that seem sensible? Okay. So, what we're going to talk about this evening is how you can take the first steps on your journey from where you are now to where you want to be. And it's a very personal journey, isn't it, for everybody? Everybody looks different. Now, why is it important that you do this now? So if you've tried dieting in the past and you've tried doing other things before, and maybe you're in a situation where your health is actually suffering a little bit, you may be relying, for example, on going to the GP and kind of asking them to treat the symptoms that you may be experiencing. So if you can't sleep, for example, or maybe you're getting some aches and pains, or maybe you've got some hormonal disturbances. In this day and age, we're very much reliant on the National Health Service, aren't we? Would you agree? Yes or no? Yeah. But unfortunately, the National Health Service is really suffering. I don't know if you know, but 60% of GPs are now over the age of 50. So that means that in the next 10 years, they're all going to be retiring. And unfortunately, medical students are no longer training as GPs because actually it's not really very sexy being a GP, is it? And they get a lot of bad press, GPs, don't they? We all blame the GPs for the National Health Service. Actually, they do an amazing job. So it means that the NHS is not actually going to get any better, it's only going to get worse. So in terms of why this is the right time for you to be looking after your body into the future, it means that you've got more opportunities than ever to look at preventing disease than actually just dealing with it and treating symptoms. Does that make sense to you? So there's an awful lot of people now that are working within the complementary prevention industry. It's huge, huge business. And that's not because it's the same as, you know, all the press and all the media cover this all the time. Raise your hand if you've got a television, or if you watch the television, or if you look at newspapers or magazines. So you will have noticed that there's more coverage, isn't there, on the media on health issues now than there ever has been before. Am I right? So you can't turn your telly on without slimming this and eat that and don't eat that and what doctors tell us about this and all those other programs. Yeah. So we're all interested in taking care of ourselves with prevention. Do you agree? However, a bit like the plumber scenario or getting a will done, most of us, and I've done this in the past as well, tend to kind of make it up as we go along, don't we? And I don't know whether you do this, but if I've got a rash or something, I used to do this, the first place I go is onto the internet. And I'm looking, you know, Googling, yeah. And within 20 minutes, I'm definitely dying. Yeah, have you done this? Yeah. So would it make sense to you that actually if you're going to look at ways to prevent illness, nutritionally rebalance your body, which is what we're talking about here this evening, that actually you're going to find somebody that can help you to do that. So it's the right time for you to do it, but it also means that here this evening you've got the opportunity in this room this evening to have the right person also to help you to do it. Does that make sense? Okay. Have you ever wandered into a shop and you're not really sure what you want, and you kind of come out with something that approximates it? So you've wandered in, you've gone in with, oh yeah, I need to buy some blue trousers, and you come out with pink jeans or something. I don't know, I do this all the time. Yeah, yes, Lucy's done that a lot. Okay, so what I'm going to do this evening is to talk to you about nutritional rebalancing and how, rather than dieting, you can actually live this happy lifestyle, this healthier lifestyle, avoiding all of these lifestyle diseases that are due to, mainly to inflammation and particularly to being overweight, or obesity as we call it. Now shockingly, 67% of women and 65% of men in this country are clinically obese. It's really high, isn't it? Now also, a third of our 11 to 16-year-olds are clinically obese. There are rising tides of people suffering with diabetes. The rates of diabetes have doubled within the last 10 years. And more people are suffering with lifestyle disorders such as ME, fibromyalgia, those type of things. And more women die of heart attacks than they do of breast cancer. We tend to think of heart disease as being very much male-dominated, don't we? Well, I used to. Rachel works in the health industry, so she probably knows better than all of us. But we tend to think, don't we, that it's men that die of heart attacks, but actually women do too. We just have different symptoms. So basically what we're looking at here is for you not only to be losing weight, because a body that is nutritionally balanced will also be a well body. And we're going to look at how you can get your body to optimum health. But the first thing I'm going to do is to tell you about my journey first, because I think that you'll understand after I tell you about what happened to me, is that you'll understand how I can help you too. So what I'd like you to do is to take you back to June in 2012, so that's just over 3 years ago. So if you're with me on this particular day, we're sitting in my car. And next to us in the passenger seat is my son, Matthew. Now my son Matt was 20 at the time. And my son is 6 foot tall. About then he's about 12.5 stone. And he's got very dark hair, very dark eyebrows. He wears very dark black rimmed glasses. And he's a rugby player, so he's quite hefty. And he works out. But on this particular day, he was slumped in the car next to me. So, okay, Matt, we're going to be at the hospital really soon. The doctor's run ahead this time, so I'm just going to drop you at the door. I'll go and park the car, and then I'll come and find you. This is ridiculous. This is 2 weeks. We've been in and out of the doctor's surgery, in and out of the drop-in centre. We've been in the hospital once. He's been sent home. Will somebody just try and fix my boy? Probably I should have called an ambulance. I'm not sure I'm going to get in there in time. I wonder if I can remember how to do a tracheotomy. I don't think I've even got anything sharp in the car. Can you imagine what it's like to be even thinking about cutting your own son's throat open? Now I got my son into hospital in time. Hurrah. But it was a further 24 hours before they diagnosed a condition called epiglottitis. Now, most of us don't know what that is. I know Rachel does. But this is where the epiglottis, which is the little flap that sits at the top of the windpipe, if that gets swollen, it closes up the air supply. Dead boy. Dead boy. And we were within hours, if not minutes, of that happening to my son. But to be honest with you, when they diagnosed his condition, all I could feel was just absolute relief. And him too, because he was obviously very frightened. Can you imagine how frightened he was? So we were just massively relieved. We've got a diagnosis. Have you ever been to that? Have you ever done that where you phone up the doctors, if you're lucky you get an appointment before you've actually overcome the problem that you've got? Yeah. Certainly in my area that happens. But very often we go along to the doctors, don't we, because we just want them to tell us what's wrong with us. Or is that just me? Is that you too? Yeah, that's what we do. So we were massively relieved. But you see, my gut feeling, have you heard the expression, my gut feeling? You heard gut feeling. My gut feeling was that this wasn't the end of the story. I just didn't think that it was the whole thing. We had a diagnosis and they gave him some stronger antibiotics and more painkillers and some steroids, and he stayed in hospital for 5 days. He took all of the summer to recover. But he went back to university in the October, and within 3 days he got a throat infection. Not the same one, a throat infection. So my gut feeling, unfortunately, was right. So, essentially, what happened then was that in the November of that year, I had my own physical crisis, my own meltdown and breakdown. So on November the 1st, I ended up at the GP surgery. And I was basically diagnosed with depression, and I had a urinary tract infection, and I was really very highly stressed. And it was partly to do with a pretty rubbish summer that I'd had looking after my son, and also to do with the work that I was doing specifically for the people that I was working for. So after that time, I actually resigned from my job. Have you ever been in a situation where you've made this massive decision and then you think, oh, I've done the right thing? Okay. But it was almost pushed upon me that I realised that my health was suffering so badly because of the situation that I was in. And a week later, I went to a meeting. So it was